When was the last time you cried during a video game? And I don't mean crying from frustration or crying from irritation or, crying because the other team murdered you really quickly. I mean like a good cry, like a good cry because the storyline is beautiful, because you miss a character, because you're attached. When was the last time you cried because of a video game? Mine was a couple hours ago. And it was a crazy experience. And I really felt so strongly about this experience that I knew that I needed to talk about it right away before the feeling wears off. Basically, I play this game called Before Your Eyes. It's a beautiful, beautiful story driven game. It could be classified as a point and click, but instead of pointing and clicking, you're pointing and blinking, which is a great concept that I never thought would even really be possible. But you point and blink to this story, and it takes you along this beautiful journey through this person's life, through this young boy's life. And you're going through his life, really starting from the absolute beginning. And from the beginning, I was already in tears. I'm so scared. My eyes are nervous.
Look
Oh,
at that sun.
oh, it's beautiful.
We've got a long, beautiful day ahead of us.
Oh,
Why are you smiling like that? You must really like it out here, huh? Mm.
I am a sucker for a beautiful melody and beautiful art concepts, especially when it looks like it's not completely defined. If it looks more artistic than it does like graphically designed, if you can catch my drift. Like I was crying instantly, like the second we went into this beginning stages, the beginning parts of the story where you're taken back to Benny's first memory ever of him opening his eyes on the beach. I started to cry, really, because of just how beautiful I was imagining the game being, which, by the way, 10 times more beautiful, 10 times more entertaining, 10 times better than anything that I could have imagined. Starting the game, I was imagining all the beautiful, all the like extraordinarily different and just amazing video game that this was going to be. I was sitting there imagining it, and I started crying, and I was also crying thinking back to like what is my first memory and taking it to a more personal level. And that's what this game does to you. It takes you to a personal level that you didn't really expect to be taken to.
What are you doing, Elle? She's gonna make you sick.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just so happy she's here.
You play the game by pointing your mouse to whatever you need to look at, whatever is around you, and then blinking your eye when you would like to basically click. Sometimes you'll blink before you want to, and you can't really go back. I think you can technically. I think there's like a chapter section. You can go back to a different chapter, but in that moment you can't really go back, especially when you're streaming, because you're talking. I couldn't really look at chat too much, but you're talking and you're trying to be engaging, but you're also trying to like go along with the story, and you're trying to focus on like what the story actually is and what's happening with it. So you blink and it's gone, and it's such a great analogy for life, because we've heard that for so long. Like I know when I was growing up, I was always told, like don't grow up too quickly. It's going to go by like this. And that's how the game felt. It felt like every single time something good was happening, you would blink. And now you're 10 years into the future. Now you're 5 years into the future. Now you're a week from like this really big piano recital that you're going to have, this audition. And it became so like deep for all of us that we were all kind of like, should we take a break from this? Should we take a break? And we eventually didn't. We decided like, no, we're gonna keep going. Really, I decided I wanted to keep going. Everyone was kind of just like, are you good? Because I was crying a lot. It's something that you have to experience. This is one of those games that you really have to experience it yourself to understand how easily it is to love storytelling. And video games are just telling stories. They're just a different medium of relaying information. This story was something that was heart-wrenching. It was very cold at some points, even very cold at some points, but without spoiling anything. That is how I felt about the game. And there's going to be like a timestamp so you can go to the end of like my final takeaway and like my final like ideas about the game and stuff like that without getting any spoilers for it. But if you've already played the game, or if you don't care about spoilers, you'd rather know the whole game or certain parts of the game, you can just keep watching. So before I move on, okay. There is a girl who's introduced to the character, and during the game it's offered that they are, or how we view them, is either a best friend or a lover, like first love, not really lover, but like first love or like your best friend. And I didn't particularly like this character at all. The people that I've met that were like that and were very mean, and not like on, you know, a little bit of friendly bullying, but full on telling somebody that, you know, you don't want them to even look at you or talk to you during school is kind of weird. It's very, very weird. So I didn't like her at all. And the fact that they only give you the options to be her best friend or, you know, your first love made me uncomfortable. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. So is what it is. I ended up choosing best friend because saying that she was my first love would have been freaking ridiculous. I liked the way in which parents were kind of shown to us. Mom, she was a composer and very influenced by her dad, and the way that she took to parenting was definitely the same way that she took to parenting with Ben, the main character. And which means it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure that she added to her son to be great. And from early on, she made a comment about like, oh, do you think Ben is going to be smart? The dad was like, why would you say that? Of course, we're both smart. Like, why would you say something like that? And she was kind of like, okay. So it kind of threw me off in the beginning. And as time went on, you can see there's other signs of her like doubting herself, but not just herself, doubting her son. Point where I feel like he internalized it so deeply, and you find out later, big old spoiler alert, he internalized it so much that he gave into his illness even more. I didn't read much into what his illness was, but what I'm assuming is it is like some form of cancer, something that's very difficult to cure or get rid of, or something that's impossible to cure. Or him having whatever disease it is that he had, being the young prodigy that he was, knowing that he hated himself and thought that he wasn't, you know, worthy of even fighting, thinking that he was weak because he couldn't beat like this deadly disease. Like that whole section where you have the disease kind of growing, where it's like a noise, and right in front of him hurt so bad. And it hurts so bad because I'm sure that there's people out there that believe because you can't fight whatever it is that's going on with you, like mentally or going on with you physically, like feel like you are weak, and you're not. That doesn't define you. Definitely worthy, and you're definitely loved just like he was. And I'm getting my feelings again, so we gonna move on a little bit. Kind of went outside the box a little bit, and they really did push at least my emotions to the max of what I could feel at that point of like her not wanting to tell her son like, oh, I liked your story. I was like, how can you not say that you like this story? Like, how dare you? And then we got to the end.
When he was just 11 years old, he got sick and was forced to stay inside for an entire year.
And in that year, he began to worry that he hadn't lived enough. So he made up a story of the great life he thought he wanted to live.
Which only made him forget the great life he already had. How he had filled a new home with light.
Light and joy and promise.
How he met a girl, his neighbor, who felt
all alone in the world, and he made her feel okay again. And how, even when he was sick, he still gave his parents hope.
How he reminded them exactly who they were.
After they had almost forgotten.
so when he knew he was going to go, he was okay. Because he'd already lived a great life, a full life.
The last like important part of the whole thing is the monologue that goes on between the mom and the ferryman, and it kind of switches back and forth. They're saying the exact same thing, but it switches back and forth every time you blink. I was blinking so much because of how much I was crying that every time I switched to the ferryman, I was like, okay, I got this, it's fine. Then I would switch back to the mom and she would continue what they were saying, and it was so bad. I was like, oh my god, I can't do this. Like, just that part. And I know I've said beautiful, and it's probably starting to lose its luster with like how often I'm saying it with this game, but that's the only word that comes to my mind, is just how like amazing and beautiful this whole game was. It was so smart to put it in the way that they did. One of the mechanics that I really liked for the game was the blinking, because the blinking part is just just genius, absolute genius. But for the blinking part, they also had parts where you have to hold your eyes closed, and you like look and you hold your eyes closed and you just listen, and it kind of brings you back to when you're a kid and you're trying to listen to your parents talking in the other room. And that's exactly how the game does it. They want you to like jump into that memory of trying to eavesdrop and like really focusing in on your hearing. That's genius. Like, every aspect of this game, I feel like they really took time to think about, if I was a child, and if I was an adult, like going through like his whole timeline. If I was a child, if I was an adult, like early 20s, if I was moving out on my own, like like how would I be feeling about this, how would I look at this, what would I be playing, how would I paint this, how would I play this, how would I do this? And it was just so riveting. Like, all of it was just absolute genius, the way that they did it. So every aspect of the game is intentional, and it feels intentional, and it doesn't just feel like, oh, they got lucky, or they kind of moved this over here and it kind of worked for it. It's like, no, they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose, and it's great. It works awesome. Oh, nah, Dre.
I swear to God, if you blink again...
Overall, my entire judgment for this game, if I had to give it like a rating, I would give it like a 12 out of 10. And that's that's me being biased as usual, but honestly, I would give it a 10 out of 10. All of it was easy to set up. The game price is $9.99 on Epic and on Steam. That's pretty much it from me. I really enjoyed this game a lot, and again, I just played this today. I just played it a couple hours ago. I just got off stream, and I just felt so compelled to talk about it and to make this video about it that me running on no sleep, I decided to do it anyways. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like this video, if you want to see more videos, give us a big thumbs up, and I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.